Hey vinyl friends and vinyl community, it's Brian from Brian's Vinyl Records, and I am going to be starting another series here. I had a couple people ask about my soundtracks collection, and I know there's a few VC members out there who really dig soundtracks like I do. So I figured I'd do a series of videos here over the next week or so showing my soundtrack collection. So today we're going to start with the letters A through C. So I alphabetize them by a movie title. So let's get into it. Soundtracks are an awesome way to get a bunch of music from a bunch of artists that either you don't want to buy the albums of, or they're songs that are only available from those artists on soundtracks. It's a cool way to get an eclectic mix of music as well, and there are some really good scores out there that fill soundtracks that are just phenomenal to listen to if you love a good score. So let's get started. The first one I'm going to show is this one here. This is the American Pie soundtrack. I was in college when this movie came out. Loved this movie, laughed my rear end off, and the music, always loved the music that was in this movie. So when I found this on Amazon Warehouse, I think I paid $10 for it. It's perfect. I don't see any problems with it other than this little sticker here has a crease. But other than that, I found nothing wrong with it, and so I got a bargain for it. But this is great. Songs on here by Third Eye Blind, Tonic, Blink-182, Sugar Ray, Dishwalla. Just filled with some great 90s, late 90s rock music, and always loved this one. So American Pie. I showed this one in my vinyl finds yesterday. This is An American Tail. A movie from my childhood, Somewhere Out There is on here. A fantastic song. It's got a good little score on there as well. So a fun little album that I picked up recently. I think I paid $4 for this one, so not a hefty price, but it's pretty cool. Next is a Dolly Parton Burt Reynolds film called The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas. What's cool about this one, of course, is that it's got Dolly here, and Dolly sings a bunch of the tunes, but Burt Reynolds actually sings on here. So if you want to ever hear what Burt Reynolds sounds like singing and you haven't seen the movie, here you go, pick this up. This next one of my favorite TV shows in college days, Beavis and Butthead. This is the Beavis and Butthead Experience. This is just a compilation of songs that Beavis and Butthead would like to listen to. So this isn't from a movie or anything like that. It's more like music from bands that Beavis and Butthead would be into. You've got bands like Anthrax, Nirvana, Megadeth, Aerosmith, White Zombie, Primus, Run DMC, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Jackal. Even Cher does a duet with Butthead on here. Pretty funny stuff. So really cool album. Love it. It's picture disc, which is not my favorite, but again, I got this one on off of Amazon for a pretty good price, so I'm not complaining about that. One of my favorite all-time soundtracks, Back to the Future. Just chock full of great songs. A movie I absolutely love, still watch to this day, usually once or twice a year. Huey Lewis and the News obviously featured pretty heavy on this one. Earth Angel is on this one. Chuck Berry, Eric Clapton. Just fantastic soundtrack, and one of my favorites. Like I said, probably my favorite all-time soundtrack is this one right here. Batman Forever. Classic case of great soundtrack, movie. Not the best Batman movie. I don't mind it, actually. I like watching it from time to time, but a lot of people don't care for it. But the soundtrack is absolutely fantastic. You got PJ Harvey on here. You got U2, Brandy, Seal, Kiss from a Rose was the big song off here. Mazzy Star's on here. Nick Cave, The Offspring, Method Man, Flaming Lips. It's just a killer soundtrack. This is an Urban Outfitters exclusive version of the album, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, it comes on this cool translucent green vinyl. So cool. Batman Forever. Beverly Hills Cop. Glenn Frey, Patti LaBelle, Pointer Sisters. This is just a fun one. I don't think I've ever seen the movie, actually, which is kind of sad because this movie I should probably have seen by now. But I found this soundtrack while digging. Really liked what is on here. The Heat Is On is the big hit off of this one by Glenn Frey, and couldn't pass it up. So Beverly Hills Cop. Classic right here that just came out, Bohemian Rhapsody. Picked this up at Target, and it's a great album. So I like Queen. I'm just not a huge enough Queen fan to go buy all their albums, so I was looking at their greatest hits album, but when this movie came out, I looked at what was on here, and the fact that it has the Live Aid concert on here, and figured that this is, if I'm going to get a Queen album, this is the one I want to get. So this is my only Queen album, but a cool soundtrack to the movie. Neat gatefold, great packaging, all around awesome. One of my favorite TV shows of all time, and this is an absolutely awesome soundtrack. This is Buffy the Vampire Slayer cast. Once More with Feeling was an episode they did that was all musical, and the cast sings on here. It's fantastic. Love listening to this from time to time. This is a Mondo pressing that came out recently, and they came out with a bunch of different colors. Mine is on blue vinyl. I know there's a purple vinyl out there as well, but really great set. Awesome episode, and so love having this in my collection. This one brings me back to when I was a kid. I've mentioned this before, but Buster, Phil Collins on here, and I remember sitting in the car. We had there's 2 Phil Collins songs on here. Two Hearts opens this album, and Groovy Kind of Love closes down this album. And I've said this before, but what we would do, we had the cassette tape in the car. We would listen to Two Hearts, then we'd flip the tape over, get to Groovy Kind of Love, and listen to that. And we'd do that constantly in the cars. There's other really good songs on here too. You've got Sonny and Cher, I Got You Babe again. You've got, let's see here, the Hollies on here, Just One Look. It's a pretty good soundtrack overall, but it, brings back memories of listening to this tape in the car. Now we got Rush, which is Eric Clapton soundtrack. He wrote this soundtrack. It has Tears in Heaven on it the first time it was released on here, and it also has a great score that he wrote. So some really good guitar songs, instrumentals on here for the album. Just all around really good stuff. Eric Clapton, love Eric Clapton. Had to get this. Rush. John Williams, great composer. Can't go wrong when you pick up this. I found this while digging. Pretty cheap. Close Encounters of the Third Kind, music by John Williams. Another one where I haven't actually seen this movie, and again, I probably should have seen this movie, but I have not watched it. But I'm not going to pass up a good John Williams score when I have a chance. Fantastic soundtrack here. This is The Color of Money. Just overall really good soundtrack. I found this one online from a guy selling a bunch of soundtracks, so I bought a couple from him. This is in excellent shape too, but we got people like Don Henley, Robert Palmer, Eric Clapton, Mark Knopfler, B.B. King is on here, Warren Zevon's on here. Just awesome soundtrack. Couldn't recommend it more. Really good. Another film, I think I've seen the movie one time. I don't remember much about it either, but the soundtrack is fantastic. Speaking of fantastic, Crossroads. Ralph Macchio, Karate Kid, is going to have a battle with the devil played by the devil's guitar player Steve Vai. Absolutely great, bluesy, good movie. I actually really like this movie. I haven't seen it in years, and I really should look it up and get a copy of it again, because I remember as a kid I really loved this. Great guitar playing in this. Macchio, if I'm not mistaken, learned to play the guitar just for this movie, so he didn't look like an idiot while trying to mimic the guitars going on. So pretty cool stuff. You got Robert Johnson obviously on here at the title track. Nitty Gritty Dirt Band is on here. It's a really good blues album if you're into that kind of stuff. All right, we have another one of my favorite soundtracks, The Crow. This is one of my all-time favorite movies. And I absolutely love this soundtrack. It's very, if you grew up in the time of this, which I believe was 94, the music of that time is well represented here on all fronts. Grunge, rock, heavy metal, everything here is just fantastic. Great soundtrack. This is the Record Store Day release that came out just recently. Like I said, love the movie. It's on white and your standard black wax. So just really, really one of my favorite movies, and the soundtrack is absolutely awesome. Glad to have it. And last but not least, we'll close out the A through C with This is the Crow score. Graham Revell is the composer on this. I saw this album, gosh, it was someone posted it on one of the deals groups that I belong to, and I didn't recognize this cover, and so I asked about it and looked it up and went on to my Amazon Music and listened to it, and it's a brilliant, brilliant score. And this is my go-to at night when I can't sleep and I don't want the TV on. I'll put on this soundtrack and just fall asleep to the score. It's absolutely great. So if you're into scores, this is a phenomenal score to get. All right, so there you go. That is A through C on my soundtrack collection. Stay tuned for D through L. Well, I'll look and see where I gotta go. But D and up, we'll get into those, and I'm breaking these out into little chunks so that the videos don't go too long. But I hope you enjoy this series on my soundtrack collection. And yeah, stick around. We'll have a lot more coming up. And thanks for watching. If you did like this and you want to, please hit the subscribe button below. Give it a thumbs up. Love seeing the thumbs ups. And leave a comment. What do you think of these soundtracks? You know, what are some of your favorite soundtracks? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep spinning vinyl, friends.